Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. I'm Carl. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon ahead of the close. And I've been watching a chart here of XLE all afternoon. Not nonstop, but I check on it quite often. And we're going to hold XLE going in the close, just to cut it short. That was my level. If it got up through that level, I mentioned it during lunch. If it got up through the level that had formed there, I was going to exit. It's sold off on that a little bit. If you look here at the market, you see a similar thing, just kind of went flat. It's had some little peaks there, not wanting to hold the level. Now the Fed is tomorrow. No, we're not going to let XLE become an all or nothing. We want to give this at least till tomorrow morning and make a decision then. But we're not going to do an all or nothing trade, Jay Woods. Okay. But with this selling off a little bit into the close, we look at XLE selling off slightly. We still got 35 minutes here, but I think we're going to hold it tonight. Yeah, we're going to have a little bit of a chance of some upside in the morning, but with the delta the way it's at, it might be risking 200 to 300. But at this stage, we're going to hold it overnight. And if any of you would like to exit, that's fine. Yeah, exit. We're expecting. We'd like to see this drop. We've been expecting for a drop. The market's just the freight train has just kind of got a hold of this. This should go down, but with right now, and we talked about how this in the past, how the market has just almost driven everything up this year. All right, but we're going to hold this and watch it first thing in the morning, see how this plays out. And as far as adding something new, I talked with Jeff about this. A little bit hesitant of going long ahead of the Fed. Okay, the Feds in the past have made some pretty nice reversals in the market based on their announcements. I'm not saying that the bottom's going to drop out of the market or anything, but they've been last little while. They've pinpointed some tops for the market. So we're not going to add anything to the long side. I still like the position there in Broadcom. We're just going to hold off on that. A little bit of confirmation come after we hear the Fed announcement tomorrow. Now the Fed announcement at 12 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. So we'll be watching and waiting for that. I'm sure we're going to be on during that announcement. All right, let's run through our positions. And we got TLT. Now, if you know, I've seen TLT recently, it's down a penny. Okay, remember this morning, this thing was down all the way down to 107.51. So this thing has made a reversal and come back about 40 cents off the lows. So it's a very good sign for a position here in TLT. This might go positive by the end of the day, which would be incredibly bullish. We'll see if it goes positive. But yeah, it could even form a bullish engulfing. If candlesticks patterns mattered a whole lot here, it could form that a little bit, which another thing to make me feel good about the position. But no, we're going to hold this position for sure. I don't see anything here technically or reasons to exit. And SLV, been looking at throughout the day. It's been up 5 cents. It's been down a penny or two. Now it's up 1 cent. And with gold doing what it's doing today, if you look through the gold stocks, look through gold core, they've reversed pretty hard now. AUI, we looked at them. They're down. Newmont Mining. Now this was closing below the 7. Jeff was looking at this, but it closed below the 7. Kind of takes that off the table for today. And so when you see SLV holding its own, when it's a lot of times it's going to be correlated a little bit with gold, and they are. For this to hold up like it is, very positive for this position. So we're going to hang on to this as well. Let's run back and look through some of the ones we talked about at lunch. Nike. If it closed right here, it's not enough for me to jump in. I'd like a little bit stronger candlestick breaking up through the 7 there. This is a bull vibe entrance. Okay, let me go look at Tesla, AK. Thanks. This would be a bull vibe, not a bull vibe, a bull vibe entrance. Say that 5 times fast. It's fun. You need a stronger candlestick than that to get in, and the volume is half of what it typically is. That's just a little bit spooky on a candlestick like this today. So it's just not ready to go higher today, probably not tomorrow. Let's look at Tesla. I can spell. Yeah, so a little bit of a dragonfly formation here. It's got plenty of volume. The 160 mark. It hit it about a week ago, held it. It's coming back, hitting it again today. It looks like it's going to hold it today. Okay, all right. Everybody's still back on video. I'm seeing everybody on video. If you still see me on video, let me know. I'm moving my cursor around. Okay, Max says it's fine there. Okay, all right. Looks like everybody's still back up. If you have problems, chat it into the support group there. All right, so yeah, it's not a perfect gravestone, but it's got all. A flash crash back to the train, right? All right, so yeah, it's a little bit of a bullish pattern. It doesn't mean the trend's reversing. It means it might show a little bit of strength here in the coming days. Is what that is suggesting. All right, and whenever I see one of these candle patterns, I want to look back and see how it's done in the past regarding these patterns. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let's see if we can find any dragonflies. You know, I don't see, they're not that common. There's not a lot of them. I can see a couple little dojis. I can see a dragonfly here or there, but it's not really necessarily in the place you want it to be, which is at the bottom. I have a little bit of a downtrend here. That's very similar to, it's not quite, but that's similar to a gravestone. Just kind of went sideways. Don't really see. I mean, there's a little gravestone over here in this area right there. Meant nothing. Little gravestone. Yeah, let me just kind of point these out to you. I can see some over here, but the stock was uptrending at the time. This gravestone right there just basically showed pretty much reverse the next day to form a dragonfly. There's another gravestone here, didn't do anything. Now that's similar to a gravestone up here, but it's, you notice it's at the bottom, which tends to be reversal as well, and that did pop it there. Other than that, there's not a lot of real good ones here in the last 6 months. But on average, these tend to be a little bit of a reversal candle, meaning a few days of strength might happen here. If you want to give it another shot, breaking below 160, use the 7 as a stop. If you wanted to give it another shot at getting down through 160, just use the 7. If it closes up through the 7, all bets are off to the downside for a while. So that's a decision as traders we get to make. Got a bearish trade going on. We got a bullish candle. Do you want to let it confirm and look for a gap up tomorrow? Do you want to just exit and cut it right here? And I know you got a gain here. I'll let you decide. But yeah, if you want to try to play for more downside, if you want to take the gain, I'll never argue taking a gain. If you want to try to play for more upside, if it closes below the 7, exit. That's what that would be the decision you got to make. Okay, now go look at AIG. See, this is the one we talked about. It's going an uptrend. An uptrend. It's very close to a vibe bull entrance. It's kind of like Nike. If I bring in the vibe here, it's just not showing the strength to get up through 52 today. that would trigger a nice entrance if you can get a candlestick, something like either of these two, not that over there, but that one here, one of these 2 days breaking up above 50. If you can follow that with at least average volume, get it up to the 50-day average I got there in the volume. That would trigger a nice entry for more upside here. Probably take it up to the 55 area out of this point. You look right here and you see, well, how did I get to 55? You can look through some of these bounces. Now, hindsight's not 20/20, but they can give you a general idea. It would be like similar to a candle pattern where you see how far it's gone down. There's a couple dollars in it right there. It could take it higher. That's take it up to 54. Look back here at probably 3 or 4. All right, but conservatively a couple dollars higher. All right, Verizon. Thanks, Russ. Good to see you, Russ. All right, Verizon. Bullish candle here today. This is going to be the tester, and this is one of those decisions that you get to make. Let me back out just slightly so you can see what I'm going to do here. So we got Verizon. Here's past resistance for it. Now there's a bigger level at 50. Sorry, 50 and a half. So what did it do? Well, it broke 51 and a half. 50 and a half. Came down, tested it. Now it's bouncing up higher off of it. Typically, this is it's going to suggest more upside in it. The volume's a little bit light for this. Okay, we've seen a nice run here, a little bit of a pullback, and a move higher above the 7's very positive for this. A break out of here could put it up to this level, the 52.5. At another $1.50 above it right there. That's the thing, light volumes. It's tough right now with the volumes. It's probably a big comfort to me seeing a little bit heavier volumes, but we looked at the trades that I've been talking about for a few days now, and since last week they've been going up. A lot of them have been going up on light volumes, but right now this is a beautiful setup technically for this stock to run higher. If you jumped into the trade right here, I would use probably 50 and a half as a stop. You could tighten it up a little bit by using the 7 on it. And options right now, I would go to, I'd probably go about 2 strikes in the money November. We're getting close. This is the first Friday in November this week. And so basically 2 weeks from Friday's expiration. We're getting down to that time frame where you got to go a little bit in the money. If you don't, it's going to be a short all or nothing trade. It sounds like some of you got some trades on Yelp, call trades on Yelp, and that's what it is. It'd be an all or nothing trade. Going for a run higher. Okay, HRB, H&R Block. All right, H&R Block, a little bit different story here. We've seen some higher highs and higher lows come in. Let's zoom in on this. Seen some higher highs and higher lows come in. Now, the only thing I have going here is right there. If it closes right there, it's hitting the 7. And see, last time it did this over here, right there, you can see how last time it hit that 7, it stalled for a little while. It did end up going higher, and it got a higher low locked in at this range. Right now, we got a higher low appears to be locked in. It's just battling that 7. If this were to close up above that 7, I'd feel much better about an upside entry. And as far as 29.5 has been a little bit of resistance for it in the past, but a break out of this level, I would watch it tomorrow. If it doesn't run up into the 29, high 29s by the end of the day today, stay out. But if it does, maybe tomorrow. What's your risk if you don't get it? If you get in tonight, is it could gap and run from you tomorrow, and you might miss it because this thing's pretty explosive recently. But on the more conservative side, I would wait until tomorrow. And if it doesn't gap and it starts pushing up off the 7 up through the 29 mark, that would be a better entry than right now, today. Okay. And then CLF. Talking about a short squeeze. You guys were in the last challenge. I know Steve and Russ and a bunch of you were. You remember this one. Okay, so we look at this through the eyes of a vibe. You can see the 200-day moving average is still down. The two shorter-term averages, the 100 and the 50, are going up. It's not a perfect vibe entrance, but let's look at it through TrendRider. So this has been TrendRider mode now for a week and a half or so, week and a half to 2 weeks. It's right up there at some resistance. There's past resistance right at 25, a nice even round number. Yeah, you're right, Steve. 25. There's been some resistance. Now it's got some pretty good volume today. And as it's been running here, it's run up. It's got its little slight pullbacks. Pretty bullish when the pullbacks are just almost immediately bought up like that. Okay, break at 25. It's trading about $1 away from the 7, which isn't too bad. If you want to anticipate a break right here, what you'd want to do is use today's open as your stop, 24.5, and then I would ride this up to the 27. I always go about $2 higher on these. If I go out a little bit, let me go back and see where they're at. I'm going to go like 3 years. If I remember right, Steve, you held on to it a little bit longer than what we did, and you got more out of it than we did. My memory serves me correct. But so this has been down here before. There's the next level that it's likely to encounter right there. That's probably around the 27 at 28 range. That's 28. That's about the $28 level. So a break above 25, it may retest that level. And the reason I say it might retest that level is because it's hit it over here. It's breaking through it again. It might, but run this thing to about 28. So it'd be one of those, if you wait for a little bit more confirmation tomorrow, you might miss out on some gains. That might get away from you. If you do it tonight, a little bit more risk. However, the gains would be a little bit greater for you. We go back to XLE and we'll talk about this. Yeah, XLE, we want to give this another shot tomorrow. We're a little bit above the stop. I know that we're 18 cents above it right now. I've talked to Jeff. What's going on here is the market chugging higher. When I see XLE pull up like it did just here recently, the market's chugging higher. We got the Feds tomorrow. We want to give this a shot tomorrow. So we're going to hold it. If anybody feels like they want to get out, and take this a little bit, take a little bit of a loss. Okay. Okay. Let's look at TLT. Oops. Look at that. It's come all the way back about over 40 cents to come just to a break even on a day. And then SLV. Look at it again. Up 2 cents. The great thing about SLV is it's just flat today. When it could be going down, it's remaining flat, which is very positive for this position right here. Yeah, we got one trade that's wanting to turn against us, and the other ones are looking like they're really strong. Broadcom, good looking setup. Looks like it's rallying here into the close. I really like the setup. The only reason we're not making it is because the Fed announcement tomorrow. The Feds are been pretty good at calling tops with their statements. Let's look at Cigna. Yeah, those pretty bearish looking there for Cigna. When I look at Cigna, I want to look at through some of the others and see what they're doing. Humana, wow, this is little teeny tiny doji patterns here. A little bit of a dragonfly right there. It's just so small and minute. It's hitting the seven, hitting on the seven. Not true trustworthy there on that little tiny pattern. And then UNH. Look at UNH jumping up about a buck 13 today, trying to get its head above the seven. Cigna does look weak to me. If you want a little bit more confirmation, wait for it to push back down below 74. Very well could be. Does this stock gap a lot? And you might risk have it gap down on you too far tomorrow. So far the mornings have gapped up a little bit and run down, which would be even more bullish. It just gapped up above the 7 tomorrow and ran back down through it. That'd be a beautiful entry. It's holding 74. The chance of that happening are there, that it could try to gap above the 7 right there. And then look for a move back below 74 there through the 7-day moving average. That's what I do. I'd watch and see if it gaps up and runs back down tomorrow. Okay, the Micron, good looking move. Gap up. Now, did they announce Micron? They've already announced. So let's look at this. Let me look at this through the vibe. Not sure they got some news on them. Nice little gap there. It's on some big volumes. It's a beautiful breakout here. I like the setup. It's a little bit of ways away from the 7. It's about over $1 away from the 7. So one of these, you get in looking for a run higher. The easy mark for this would be about another $1.50 higher. It'd be easy for it. It could run up a couple more, up at about the 1950 level. Getting up towards 20 might be pushing it on a short-term trade. But it's got all the indications of this thing wanting to run higher tomorrow in the next few days. If I go back to a trend writer, the upper Bollinger Band, not out of the question. That puts it right up there. We were talking about the 18.5 mark. So that would be the target for it. You'd have to price the option, see what kind of move that you could get out of this if it gets up to around the 18.5 to the $19 level. See what kind of move, risk reward you'd have there. But yeah, everything right here tells me this is going to go higher in the next day or two. And then Medtronics. Same thing. So this is in a trend writer bull mode. If I come back to the vibe, yeah, I mean, you look here, we talk about the vibes. I either go too little, there we go. So this would be a 3 methods rising pattern confirmed today. Here's you got the start of it, a nice Marabuzo candle up, couple days where it goes down, and then today breaking up above the high of the first candle on volume. So you've got that candle pattern backing this move. You also got all major moving averages pointing in the same direction. Yesterday it wasn't a strong entrance on a bull vibe because it was just hitting resistance there. It's one that could have been anticipated. Maybe jumped in a little bit early and caught today's move, but today's confirming it. A move here probably into the $60 range. Yeah, it's a good looking setup. I like it. It's likely to go higher. Yeah, let's look at Broadcom. Go back to Broadcom here, SPM. I'll put it this way: if the Feds weren't announcing tomorrow, we'd be buying this trade. It's got all the markings of running higher, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this come out of the gate tomorrow running higher. because let's go through it. You've got the RSI breaking 50. That's what you want to see. You've got the Bollinger Band width here rising, which means they're expanding. As the bands expand, the price can likely stay inside the bands. It's more that the price will flow along with the bands. Price target on this, my initial one would be 30. It could go as high and to fill this gap up here, as high around a $33 range. But if you're trading options, are going to expire about 2.5 weeks from now. It gets up in the 29-30 area and starts to show a little bit of weakness. I'd get out, take the gain. But the Fed's announcing tomorrow. I'm just not 100% comfortable just jumping into it. Although I would think this is going to go up tomorrow morning, maybe ahead of the announcement. Now the market's going to be pretty flat tomorrow, so it might calm down around the 28 mark. That's past resistance for it here. Tomorrow, before the Fed, I'd be surprised to see it get up through that level right there, because usually the markets are just flat ahead of the announcement. Okay, the announcement's going to come 12 o'clock Mountain Time, 2 o'clock Eastern. But again, if we'd be in this trade today if it wasn't for the Fed tomorrow. Yeah, you're right. Aaron, yes. The Fed are good at calling tops in the market just by their statements. And let's look at the market. Had a nice rally here, and about every month to month and a half, there's some type of uptrend that ends or a downtrend that ends. There's a little tool called a channeling tool. They're not perfect. Okay, AK. For free. Nice. You gotta love that price. Good job, Max. Let me show you this little thing. It's not 100%. I don't use it a whole lot, but when I see a chart like this that has these all the ups and downs. Now this is the S&P 500, and I can't zoom in on it and still work the annotation here. So, but I'm going to choose a little thing up here. It's called a cycle lines tool. I just choose the main one. All right, and then I find a bottom or a top, and I can go either one of them. I'm just going to go right here and drag this until it lines up with something. About right there. Yeah, see, they're never perfect, but somewhere right around. Let me see if I can drag a little bit. Yeah, it's taken some of them out. But, you can look at this. Now I can zoom in a little bit. We can look at this, and it called the top here, right? There it's right on the bottom right there. It's close to the top here. It found the bottom there. And you look at this, it's what about every 5 weeks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5, 6 weeks. Now it totally missed that one. And again, it's not going to be 100%, and it missed this one over here. Okay, right? It was close, but no, that's not close. That's just an outright miss right there. So are we due for another one? This would be the area. But again, it's not all that accurate. Occasionally I'll look at it, but just another little tool there at stock charts on the annotation. And yeah, after a move like this, stocks can be a little bit overinflated right in here. Prices be a little bit high, and maybe the Fed's going to call it tomorrow. A surprise out of the Fed, you could get some pretty violent reactions, because after today's rally like we're seeing, not a major rally, but being up 7.5 points on a day before the Fed is saying something. And that's on a move just because we got the bad retail numbers out and consumer confidence this morning all low. So we see, bad news is good news for the market, and they come out with any type of a surprise tomorrow. You could be some pretty violent reactions, and that could help us out in our position on XLE. All right, let me just run through the positions really fast one more time. XLE, where's it going to close? About 50 cents. Again, we're 17 cents over our stop. We're going to hold it. We're risking in between, I'd imagine, $200 to $300. If it runs higher tomorrow on us, we'll exit. We're right there at resistance. It's held in the past. We've had a doji pattern there in the past. It's held. We want to give it one more day. And then if you need to exit, please. SLV, just flat. It's been like that all day long, and we're going to take that one because it's had a lot of reasons to go down today, and it's not. TLT, check that out. If this moves another 10 cents, we're going to have a bullish engulfing pattern. It's really close right now. What a comeback, right? The latter part of the day, and that's when you want to see it happen. The latter part of the day, it tells you the buyers are stepping in. And Jeff talked a little bit this morning. This gap down like it did. It gap down about 30 cents and ran down a little bit off of that. And sometimes that's what it takes to spark the buyers. It gets their attention like, hey, there's TLT down there. Let's buy it. Okay, it doesn't work quite like that, but it's a positive sign when you see it buying going on the last little bit of the day. Let's go look at IBB. Biotech shares. So it's got a dragonfly doji, and this is towards the top, so it's meaning it's a reversal candle, and likely, and those are saying, that's saying it's likely to come down. How far could it come? You know, it's right there at resistance. So this is another one of those. It's at past resistance, which it's hit two other times, once in September, once in first part of October there, and now showing a bearish candle pattern. Odds are this is coming back down. Okay, if you look at the past, has it been really accurate around candle patterns? Let's take a look closer here. There's a gravestone. It showed a couple days of weakness. That's it. Didn't do a whole lot. Now, there's one right up here. Now, see that gravestone right there? That's a gravestone at the bottom of a little bit of a downtrend. That should have gone up, and it didn't. It went down. Okay, now you got another gravestone down here. Oops. One over from the arrow there, and that did. It went up on it. So overall, gravestone. There's a dragonfly down here. Overall, that's not too bad. I mean, there's a miss here or there, and that's like a lot of candle patterns. They're not going to be accurate every single time. But you know, that's a reversal candle. It could show some weakness. Now, the volume's light on it, so they're usually more accurate if you have higher volumes than it has. So now it's a biotech ETF, I'd imagine. I haven't traded this one before, but okay. Well, hey, we're polling for you on Yelp, and good luck with that. I'll be watching it for you guys too. Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. Appreciate you. Okay. All right. Well, let's get some money for you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great night, and take care. Bye-bye.